It's Perp back with another video, and I just got done watching episode 5 of Yellowjackets. And man, when this first started, I didn't know how to feel about this episode. It almost felt like I didn't know where this was really going. There was definitely some slow moments, but there's a lot of moments in here that really pick up the story for me. And there's a lot of standout scenes within this episode. Mainly the one scene doing with Shauna. Some other things that are just really creepy and freaky. But hit that like button, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at PerpMiner420. Also check out the link in the description below. That's where I'm going to put all my reviews for Yellowjacket in that playlist. So definitely check that out. The episode starts off really kind of cringy with all the girls like dancing to This Is How We Do It. Obviously, because you got to make sure you remind people that we're in the 90s. There's some weird stuff going on in the cabin. I just don't know why they would even stay there. They're hearing like creaking and all that stuff. And that makes me believe that there was always something there. There's always some type of spirit or some type of entity already there. We'll get into all that because it kind of plays into everything I was kind of talking about with the opening credits and that thing that you see in there. We'll get into all of it because it's really fascinating. So while this is going on, Misty, because this is why I really look forward to watching each episode each week, because I just think like, what crazy shit is Misty gonna do in this episode? And this was pretty funny because she walks in on the coach sleeping, and this dude got a full-on boner and stuff, and obviously, she was about to grab that shit. That shit was fucking hilarious. And then the coach wakes up and tells Misty, yo, get the fuck out of here. And just, Misty is just completely insane, bro. Like, what she does in this episode, from how she was in 69 when they crashed and everything to where she is now, nothing much has changed, but she is definitely a fucking nut. While everybody else is kind of doing what they have to do to kind of make sure they can survive, make sure things get done around the cabin, Jackie is kind of just not doing anything, and everybody's kind of noticing this and kind of giving her a hard time about this. Lottie, on the other hand, is just completely in her own fucking world, and nobody just really takes the time to ask what is going on with Lonnie, because Lottie is like really, she was the first one that just didn't like just the atmosphere of this whole entire place. Like, she felt the presence of evil, and she is definitely the key to just everything going on. And I have some theories. I'm gonna get some theories when we get to that scene, because now it just kind of popped in my head that that thing in the opening credits could be somebody that we know. We'll get into all that. On the other hand, Shauna and everybody, all the different girls are, I guess, simultaneously all on their period. And it's like a lot of just weird stuff with that as well. I was eating while watching this too. It was just made my stomach kind of twist up. But Shauna makes mention that she missed her period. So that also confirms that she's pregnant. And yeah, that's really interesting to me. And we do get a lot more of Shauna and just her daughter and stuff, and just how conniving her daughter is. Because man, they have a scene with Shauna and her daughter. I forget her name is Callie or Kelly. Phenomenal. When we get there, we'll get there. And I really found that to be hilarious that she has Misty under do not answer. That was really, or don't pick up. That was pretty funny. And she pretty much calls Misty to say, hey, I heard, she mentions that she has connections to people that can get files on certain people. And, that turns into some other thing. And it's just like, what is Misty really up to? Like, what's she been doing the last 25 years? For real. And I feel like, I still think she's up to something. She is definitely involved with what's going on, or just doing something for her own kind of gain, getting her own kind of revenge, I feel like, or just she's being really fucking suspect, and it's just really fucking weird, but it's awesome because Misty's the best character. Because I find that whole scene fascinating, and just how stuck up her daughter just feels like she could act, and then Jeff comes into the kitchen, says like, "Oh, I think you're being too hard on her," and like, it's the complete opposite. You know, she feels like she needs to put her foot down, and man, does she. Well, I'm gonna just hold off before we get into that. Going back over to Natalie, and I don't know what they were trying to do in this scene, trying to make her look kind of sexy. I just it didn't do nothing for me. But she's calling Kevin, and Kevin's trying to like pretty much take her out and reconnect with Natalie, but Natalie ends up calling Misty. You literally have her in this episode turning off somebody's life support and turning it back on, and you take these kids to go trick-or-treating in an old folks home. It's just really wacky, yo. Like, Misty is completely shot out. But going back over to Shauna real quick, because she has to make it look like she had her period, because she doesn't want to kind of alarm Jackie, because Jackie doesn't know at this point that she was being kind of sneaking behind her back with Jeff. But Ty, she picks up on this. She's like, why is Shauna just acting really weird and sneaking around? She's kind of dealing with her own stuff, with the whole political stuff, and somebody's really playing mind games with her, writing the word spill in red paint to signify blood, really trying to trigger Ty into like kind of fessing up the truth. That's the big theme of the adult characters, like the truth. Somebody wants them to tell the truth, or just is playing mind games with them. Going back to the wilderness though, with Jackie and Shauna kind of feels bad for Jackie and how like people are treating her, and pulls her to the side and just kind of gives her a pep talk like, yo, you need to pitch in, because if you don't, things are just gonna get worse, and people are just gonna always look at you weird. This was a little cool moment that they had. I thought she was gonna just kind of fess up. I think we're gonna get an episode where she kind of confesses that she's been doing things with Jeff behind Jackie's back, and that's gonna create a falling out. I do like that throughout this episode we see the continuation of Travis and Natalie's relationship start to form some type of bond. That's getting more interesting. Ty, on the other hand, finds this whole paint can underneath Sam's bed, and I really don't know, really like how they've been pretty much handling Sam's character as the son. You know what I'm saying? Also, not to mention that Shauna and Adam are at this like masquerade party or something like that, which we'll get into that because that's very interesting. That's gonna pretty much blow up in her face, so to speak. But going back to this whole parenting with Sam, because now they're starting to kind of question Sam, like, what's going on? Did you write this stuff on the outside of our door? And Sam's like, no, it's the other one, it's the bad one. And I'm just like, what are you talking about, the bad one? And this kid is just really creepy, bro. It's just everything surrounding Ty's character and just what they're doing with that is really cool. I could care less about the whole political stuff, and that's really boring. We want to get into the meat and potatoes of this stuff, but we're definitely getting to the bottom of something. I just don't like the fact that this kid could just storm off out the room or just beat up a kid, and he doesn't seem to get punished or nothing. It's just really bad parenting, to be honest. Anyways, Natalie and Misty meet up, and Misty pretty much talks about her connect, about the files and stuff like that, and tells Natalie he's being kind of a dick about the information. He's kind of he wants something in return. And Natalie's like, all right, we can persuade him. And she's like sucking gasoline out of this car. I'm like, yo, what the hell is she doing? Is it times that hard that she needs to, siphon gas from another car to her car? But no, she's using that as kind of leverage or as an interrogation kind of type of tactic, because they pour like Misty pours the gasoline, and Misty has a lighter ready to light this dude on fire in the middle of everybody. She's like, I don't care if I have to go to jail tonight, but you're gonna give me those files. You know what I'm saying? So she pretty much gives up the file. Pretty much gives up the files, which was a really dope scene. I kind of like, Natalie and Misty kind of going on these little missions and stuff like that. Now let's get into probably the better half of this episode. This is like halfway through at this point, where we see Van and Ty start to kind of like, they want to bump uglies, but then they get kind of interrupted by one of the girls that thinks that she has like a spider on her. Then out of nowhere, right, Jackie comes up with the bright idea, let's have a seance. And I started to think to myself, thank God for like technology and TikTok and all these other distractions, because it seems like a lot of what happens in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, people get so bored to the point where they decide to summon ghosts and they just want to do a seance or fuck with Ouija boards. It's just like, no, bro, don't do that. So that kind of adds to the whole supernatural stuff we're going to get into as we're getting close to the end of the episode. Going back with Shauna now, she's starting to see Jackie and starts to follow who she thinks is Jackie, but ends up being her daughter. And she's kind of shocked because she finds out she's there with another man that's not Jeff. And Shauna is shocked to see her daughter there because they told her earlier not to go into the city. And she's just being so fucking, deceitful and just not, doesn't care. And you're thinking like, what is going on with Shauna's daughter? Is she just acting out? We'll get into that, man, because it's interesting. So we have this scene of Misty giving the coach some liquid, and he kind of makes a weird face. That kind of gets into something later on into this episode. We see the symbol up on the steps. So, Jackie and Shauna are getting ready for this whole seance later on tonight. And they continue to show Travis and Natalie getting close. And they actually share their first kiss, which was cool. That goes into Natalie and Misty looking through the files, seeing, Travis's dead body kind of mangled and seeing all the bruises. But then they noticed that same symbol that was at that cabin was at Travis's death. So it's something way bigger that's happening at play right now. So I don't know. But now we're going to get into some really dope shit, because here, this scene threw me off because I really thought that Shauna and her daughter were really having a heart-to-heart moment. I really fell for it. And, her daughter starts to talk about, you know who you are. I really feel bad for what you went through. And she really, is really good at manipulating this situation. And I was like, has to be the drugs talking. Like, there's no way that, this character that we've been seeing up until this point is feeling some type of sympathy for her own mother. And we're going to get into all that very shortly, but we got to address this whole seance. Now, this is really probably the dumbest thing that these characters could have possibly have chose to do, and now they're starting to kind of see the repercussions of this messing with the spirits. Lottie's there, she gets kind of possessed, and I'm this whole time I was like, yo, where's Laura Lee, the one that's like kind of religious? She kind of just stays out of the whole situation because of her beliefs. But the one person that was warning people about just this whole entire place was Lottie. And, they were asking the spirit questions, obviously. And then it gets to Javi, and Javi is like, will we all die here? And then that's where everything changes. Lottie gets possessed and stuff like that. That was a really dope scene, really freaky. And it was talking about it, the spirit that attached itself to Lottie was talking about, I'm hungry. It had like this hunger for blood and stuff, and that might go into the whole cannibalism thing and just what's really going on with them in present day. So now we have Ty speaking to the press, because when she was having that little sit down with her wife, they were kind of just, her wife was just concerned, like she just didn't want her to kind of lose herself over this whole like being reelected kind of thing, or this election situation. Then we see this thing from the credits, and I'm like, yo, does the wife see this as well, or is it just Ty that sees this? But she uses this opportunity to kind of flip this on her opponent, and I don't know, I think it's something to do with this spirit that's kind of like messing with all these different characters. I don't know, something came over them, but I really am curious to know exactly what that thing is that was across the street. It has its eyes poked out. I was thinking it was Lottie, but then I'm looking at it, it's more of a male. So I don't know. It's really creepy. It gave me chills. I'm loving it though, because that's the horror aspect that's coming into this whole entire show, that it's really intriguing. Now, this scene with Misty and the coach, let me know how you guys feel about this whole entire scene. Obviously, it's completely inappropriate because, you know, the coach is way older than Misty. Misty's probably like, what, 16? Not even of age. And Misty, Misty kind of tells the coach her true feelings, because the coach is like, yo, you poisoned me. Because the coach threw up back at the cabin earlier in the episode. And I'm like, did that have something to do with the spell? No, it had something to do with Misty. Misty was obviously trying to get his attention in a weird fucking way. And I think just the shit he was telling Misty, like saying, oh, I feel the same way, I feel like it was kind of bullshit, because I feel like he's just trying to let her down nicely and not like freak her out to the point where she might try to kill him. I still think that Misty might try to kill the coach. I still think that's going to happen. I don't know. Let me know how you guys feel about that. So going to the best scene of the episode, one of my favorite scenes of the episode, this is where Shauna's daughter kind of tries to flip the script on Shauna, and then Shauna just quickly with the rebuttal and just puts her foot on her daughter's neck, because her daughter tries to use this whole, oh, I saw you with another dude, so you do what I say or I'll tell dad. But then Shauna's like, you really want to do that? You sure you want to do that? I'm not going to try to quote her word for word, but that was just amazing. Amazing. If you've seen it, you've seen it. So there's another weird scene in here where Ty ends up wanting to sleep in the attic. Nobody wants to kind of sleep in the attic. Everybody's kind of freaked out. I guess she wanted to make a point, but then it kind of leads into Shauna going up there as well to keep her company. And then they get the scene of Ty pretty much putting two and two together, like, oh, you're pregnant? And so that's kind of like their little secret. And Shauna decides to pretty much Google herself. And it seems like there's a lot of different stories going around about what actually happened. A lot of propaganda, which is really interesting. And then this is really dope. Natalie pretty much calls over Ty and says like, oh, look at this. It's the same symbol from the cabin. And guess who is spying on them? Misty. Why is Misty spying on Natalie? What is she planning, man? It's really fascinating. I really enjoyed this episode, but I don't want to keep this review that long. Just let me know how you guys feel about this episode. What were some of your favorite moments? What didn't you like about the episode? Where do you see the next couple episodes going from here? What's up with the whole supernatural element? Till next time, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.